Hey everybody, Coach here. Hey, thanks for tuning in this week. Going to try something a little different. This week I am going to keep this one short, or at least shorter. Hey, this week we're talking about the 3 levels of landscape lighting. Do you know what they are? That's what we're discussing here today. So let's get rolling. So when we talk about the 3 levels of lighting, we're talking about high volt, low volt, and solar lighting. And the reason I'm making this video is maybe you're considering a landscape lighting project of your own. And you're wondering, what should I do? How should I put it in? What should I illuminate and why? When you're talking about those 3 levels, many times we equate landscape lighting to the low volt and the solar. But high voltage can also be used. High voltage is primarily done through commercial applications, security work, but in high voltage, landscapes can be illuminated very nicely with high voltage. It doesn't mean that you have to have high wattage in your bulbs, but you can use high volt. And what have I done in designing and stuff for that kind of thing? I've used high volt when it's come to gated entries, long dark driveways, barn security, corner house security, and that is about it. Commercial application, we get into ground illumination, pathway illumination. Basically, they're lighting things up so in this litigious society that we live in, people have nice bright walkways and plenty of ample light to navigate in and around a commercial building or a mall or a parking lot, whatever. High voltage is primarily done by professionals. Most DIY homeowners, I was one for quite a while, you get a little leery of working around high voltage, giving dedicated breakers for it, pulling a new breaker, putting a new breaker in the panel and running high voltage electricity. So I really suggest that either consult with an electrician or you hire an electrician before you go down that road, okay? So to review, high voltage is generally for security and navigational purposes only. Now let's talk about low voltage. Low voltage is kind of the gold standard when it comes to landscape lighting. And the end goal usually is ambiance first, navigation second, security third. And personally, I'd rather make it ambiance number 1 and security number 2. Most of the time, low voltage is a great DIY project. It really is. You can deal with low voltage without being electrocuted. You can deal with low voltage in part and parcel. You may start a project and then add on to it as resources allow. The best thing that you can do for your low voltage lighting is plan your placement of your fixtures first and then base your parts and pieces off of that placement. That way you just don't go to the store and end up getting a bunch of stuff and you either have a tremendous of too much or more likely you don't have enough and then you have to go back and get more stuff, which means more splices and more junctions, etc. So when you're doing your low voltage lighting, consider placement for that ambiance number 1, your security number 2, and navigation number 3. Most of the time, if you take care of the security part, the navigation is going to take care of itself automatically. Now, what might be some of the downfalls of a low voltage lighting? Most of the time, it's a luxury element in many landscapes, let's just face it. But costs can be kind of prohibitive, especially in this day and age. Here, take a look at this right here, and you'll get an idea of how much copper wire costs now, and this is at least 3 times the cost that was when I was on the job. So when you're doing a low voltage system and you come to the stores, look for the 12-2, the 14-2, the 16-2 type of cable that is going to be your conduit from your transformer all the way out to your fixture itself. The farther you go, the lower number you want. So if you have a 100-foot run, use 12-2. If you have a 10-foot run and only a couple LEDs, then you can go down to like 16-2 or 14-2 without any problem. but it's 12-2 cable, and it's generally, it doesn't matter which wire you hook up to which wire. It's not gonna matter in that case. But holy cow, since I've been doing it, copper wire is very, very expensive. But there you go. There you go, 12-2 cable, you can find it. Let's continue. Kind of expensive, huh? Yeah, it is. It really is. It's an expensive venture to go down. Plus, it's also kind of time consuming. By the time you get transformers installed, maybe a dedicated plug for that transformer, doing your trenching for your low voltage cable, you might have to go under a walkway or next to a fence, so it's a little time. But honestly, isn't any DIY project time sensitive and time inclusive? It really is. So don't worry about it. Get in and enjoy the journey. So your 12-volt systems are going to be powered by a transformer, okay? This is the Hampton Bay brand. No, we're not sponsored. We're just out at Home Depot right now, and I wanted to show them to you. This is going to be your power center. Remember, this is only a 60-watt one, but with a lot of the LED bulbs that are out there that are only drawing 3 to 5 watts, maybe up to 11 watts on a big bulb, you're still going to be able to fit quite a few on here. However, if it's not big enough, you can always go up to 100, 150, 300 watts if you have a whole bunch. Just remember your runs, as far as with your cable and stuff, you will get a voltage drop. Okay. Hey, check out my Amazon page if you'd like some links to some good quality transformers. But if you're a beginner and you're on a budget, hey, go out to the box stores and check them out. See how you like them. All right, our last one is solar lighting. And I'm going to give you a little disclaimer here. Solar lighting is nothing that ever went into a landscape project professionally that I ever did. The only time I had solar lighting was on my own personal property when I was experimenting. The type of solar lights that I experimented with were deck railing lights. They were step lights, and I did have some long rectangular ones that I put over the tops of my garage and over the tops of my shop that were motion sensitive, and they came on when things walked by. That was the only solar that I did. And if you followed me for any length of time, I'm kind of an OCD nut. I really take care of what I have. My professional experience has been this. I've seen solar lighting used, and I've seen it, the initial illumination that it does is okay. It's not great. I don't ever consider it great. But it is okay. And I think for the DIYer, it's a great place to start, learn, and experiment with. As long as you don't go crazy nut investment-wise, just try a few fixtures and see what you think. But I have also found that I have taken out more solar lighting and put in 12-volt over customers over many years. They just don't last. They don't last as long as 12-volt or high-volt stuff. It just doesn't. Mainly because people don't take care of their stuff. There's that honeymoon effect with most new things, and they don't get back out there and make sure that the fixtures are in good shape. The kids or the dogs haven't knocked them over. The solar panel is cleaned, the lens is clean, and you have a nice fixture that performs well for you. I have found the brand new ones have generally a 6, maybe an 8-hour illumination time if the batteries are fully charged and they get a good amount of sunlight throughout the day. Most of the time, after about a 2-year stretch, I see that illumination drop by at least 50%, if not more. So the one thing about the solar lights is they're less expensive. They're less expensive than your average 12-volt, and certainly less expensive than your high voltage fixtures. However, even though they're less expensive, you have to understand that the longevity behind them is not there. The way that I found to extend the life of them the most is to make sure that that solar array on top of each one is always clean and free of any sort of hard water spot, free of dust, and make sure that the bulb is always in good shape. Now these out of one of the box stores here, they're the average priced ones. But you know something, for stair lights, inexpensive stair lights, or inexpensive wall sconces, I mean, they do work. I have seen recently, though, where people have put them underneath large bushes or trees and that kind of stuff. You got to make sure that they get fully charged every day, so they discharge at night for at least 4 to 6 hours, if not longer. So remember to take care of them. Oftentimes people have a honeymoon effect with solar lighting and other lighting as well, but they tend to forget about them after about the first season. So take care of the fixtures you have, and you can always find a really good selection in most of the box stores and on Amazon as well. Just remember that the Amazon stuff may or may not be coming from our country in the US, and hey, buy US, right? Anyway, hey, I wanted to show you some of the selections here. I have used the stair lights before in construction, but most of the time they were always the wired 12 volt. Guys, let's continue this show in another realm. So when you deal with solar lights, you might want to think about just a couple to start with, and then make an informed decision whether you want to upgrade to low voltage. Guys, that's what I have for you here today. I'm standing in a place where spring has not sprung yet, and Mother Nature's blowing in a wind, so I'm going to let you go for now. Hey, please check out the website if you'd like to take a look at the book and the digital course, and the Amazon storefront is always open for you to peruse as well. A little bit goes a long ways for us to keep bringing you some quality content. Guys, I'll catch you next week. As always, to your landscape success, bye for now.